In our previous video, we started off by saying all you need to be successful with digital media content capture and curation is a cell phone. And certainly that is true. If we were to look just in, our state as an example of this, something like the Chicago Tribune has done without a professional photography department en masse for quite some time. Is that to say they don't still have professional photographers? No, but the way it is that they create the content has changed drastically over the last 12 years since the advent of the good cell phone camera. So whereas, you know, a reporter, this is overgeneralization and it's really just for the story. But whereas a reporter would have had to have traveled with a camera crew for everything, we're seeing this on the news side of things too. I was just at RVC a couple of weeks ago. There was a WIFR truck outside doing something, and the reporter had a cell phone camera on a tripod, and that's what was the whole crew that was deployed to us. So that is something that is not just has become, but it will remain the norm for how it is that we look at, capturing and curating digital content. So here with your cell phone is a fine place to start. Now you'll notice I have my finger here, whereas here it's on the camera. That is a terrible place to be able to have to put your finger. Also, if you'll notice, when you take a phone call, these once upon a time were actually phone call devices, not just internet and game and all of those other things that we do them for. You would put them to your head, and I'll speak for myself. I'm slimy. So now what we've done is we have created a situation where both cameras are covered in a layer of human filth, and that is going to show itself on your images. That is going to show itself in your video. The first, easiest, and maybe one of the biggest impacts, positive impacts you can have on the media it is that you create is to have a microfiber cloth. I know, stupid, isn't it? But it's true. Wipe off and make sure that you don't reintroduce your slimy, grimy finger to the camera in the rear. Wipe off and make sure that you don't reintroduce your slimy, grimy face and fingers, really, to the front of your camera. And boom, already we are on the road to taking better pictures. So that's the first thing to be aware of is you're filthy. Clean it. The second thing to be aware of is the greatest single crime that most people commit when they're taking pictures with their cell phone, and that is the orientation that they hold the phone with. I'm taking pictures. I'm taking pictures. I'm taking pictures. What happens when you take pictures this way? The orientation on your photo is also portrait. This is fine if you are developing an Instagram story. This is fine if you are on Snapchat for what it is that you need to do as part of your digital content capture and curation. That's fine. Don't dismiss that. That's a really fantastic way to reach out to your unknown potential future clients. That's fine. But in other mediums, that is not going to be okay. Think about on the web pages that we have been developing. Are we relying on more landscape high quality images, or are we relying on more portrait up and down high quality images? And the answer is clearly going to be, well, it's landscape, right? Because most of the windows on our desktop, most of the web pages we rely on, even looking at our tablets or our phones, are going to, in rough aspect ratios, going to be relying on landscape images. So that's number two. Don't hold your phone this way. We are holding our phones this way. Now, The next piece here is, how do you see people hold their phones when they're taking pictures? Way out here in front of them, right? The problem with that is we are putting a lot of stress on our shoulders and the upper portion of our back, two things that we have neglected entirely, sitting here on a desk, talking at a camera all day. And aside from that, what we're really doing is we're introducing motion into the image, because, we are dedicating so much energy into keeping our hands, our shoulders, our arms outside of the influence of gravity, which we cannot do. That is going to introduce motion, sway into there. If you think about the size of, the apparatus, all of the different pieces, the lens, the aperture, the sensor, everything else that goes into your camera, they're very, very small. So small bits of motion have a very outsized impact on the overall quality of your shot. The first thing to attempt to do is get your arms out of that kind of far off gorilla way of interacting with your phone and kind of staple your elbows into your sides. Because what that's going to do is take out the sway from your arms. It's going to leave the sway from the rest of your body, but everything we can do to minimize the motion that's impacting our camera, the entire apparatus here, the better. So instead of taking pictures way out here in front of you, which is a mistake, way here close to your body, where we're taking some of the motion out of the image as it's being captured. Now, we can do better, and if you can, you should do better. The next thing you can do is to essentially think of your body as part of a tripod. So if you have a wall, if you have a door frame, if you have anything that you can lean against to help take more of that motion out of your body, go for it. Now, I have a table here in front of me. For every time that I touch the table, the earthquake on my camera happens, and that just goes to prove how a little bit of motion, I'm doing this with my pinky finger, a little bit of motion here on this tiny, frankly shitty sensor in my crummy little webcam, sorry webcam, you're doing a fine job, is going to have a big impact there. So if I put my arms on the table, I am taking out the motion from my body, I have taken out the motion from my arms, and now I have a stable platform with which to take that image, or a stable platform with which to take that video. And that's not always going to be possible. Something that you should get in the habit of traveling with is a tripod. This is because I am I'm willing to spend money, but I'm cheap in other ways. This is a crummy, it's Archon. Yeah, Arkon. A crummy, squeaky, can you hear it? Crummy, squeaky tripod that has just enough space in between its teeth here to hold a smaller phone. So my iPhone, it's over here, you can see it's still charging. My iPhone 11 Pro Max, I think that's what it's called, is too big to fit in here, but it just so happens that the Pixel phone does, so that makes it perfect. So I can use a tripod like this in order to take all of the motion out of my shot, which will lead to a better shot. If you'd like, you can even use the timer on your phone in order to remove you as the photographer from having to press the button, which is going to introduce motion into your picture or your video. So these are incredibly cheap. This was $10, I believe, on Amazon. My suggestion to you is, actually, it has my light in it currently, is a 60-inch tripod. It costs $13. It's a collapsible tripod. It came with a shoulder bag, so it collapses down to about this big, 13 inches. And it works fantastic. And then you don't have to worry about any of that additional motion impacting the overall quality of your shot. You have that taken care of there. So that's the physical things that you can do with your camera to capture and curate high quality images and high quality video for your web property. Number one, get it clean. Number two, get the shot closer to your body and remove any and all excess motion from it. If you can, remove all the motion from it. So those are what you can do with the camera itself. Before we get on to, the next phase, which is what can we do before we hit the shutter button in order to take our picture. There's one more thing to think about, and that is lighting. So lighting really is an important component of this. The last however many months or years that quarantine has felt like have really shown, especially to those of us who have to work from our dungeon offices, lighting really does make a difference. So I have lights on in the background. You can see them right there and there. I actually have a light right here. And you can see just the amount of difference that does with my fill lamp. This is not on me. There is, you can see by the shadows right here. There is another lamp off here, an offset for filling down to my beautiful punum. There we go. So lighting does make a difference. You certainly do not want to travel with some big, crazy light kit, but you'd be surprised at the difference just one little light source can provide. So over the last however many months, I have purchased a USB ring light. So as silly as it is, we can attach the ring light just like so to our cell phones, and boom, we have a high quality, high density light that, even though it's true we do have on most cell phones, they do have a blinding, unbelievably harsh light on it, we can add to that, and that's going to help fill in for our exposure. It's going to help fill in the dark spots. It's going to help expose some of those shadows. So what I'll do is I'll turn off all of the filling lights I have in here and show you what the difference is with just one of these. So if I was to just leave on, because without these two lights here behind me, you actually couldn't see anything at all. So I had to go turn those back on. Otherwise, this demonstration would have been literally a black screen. It wouldn't look that great. So this is what my office looks like with some lighting, but without good lighting. So the only thing we have to introduce is my ring light. So we'll go ahead and turn that on. And that's it. I think it was $10-ish ring light goes from totally underexposed to usably exposed. What I'll say is I'm shiny. That's not the light's problem. So this really goes a long way towards making a better piece of media, whether or not it is an image or a video. We've got a couple of simple things to be able to get you from okay to good to great. Number one, clean off your lenses. Number two, so that's number one really, take all of the shake that you can out of your image. If you can do that with a tripod, that's for the best, but you can also do it with the way it is that you hold the camera. Finally, you can also include just a ring light. A $10 ring light really does, even if it's here on your phone, it goes a long way towards getting, a better shot, which is going to look better on your web page, which is going to convey more clearly the quality of your message to your unknown potential future clients.